Hello there, and welcome to episode 25 of SWA Podcast. Podcast where we review modern day WWE, New Japan, NXT shows, as well as the odd retrospective and classic pay-per-views from the wonderful world of wrestling. Today we're discussing WWE's latest pay-per-view offering, Hell in a Cell 2018. I am your host Reese, and joining me as always is my co-host Harry. Say hello, Harry.
Hello, Reese. You okay?
All good, thank you. All good. So,
not to cut you off, I was like, is it episode 25? Because there's so fucking many of them now. It's like they're all starting to not blur together, but it was like
the last one was episode 24, so I think it's safe to say this is episode 25.
Yeah, it's fine.
26 will be the Goldberg episode 2, though. We will do that.
We're not going to do WWE Evolution or the Super Show.
Well, we'll do both of those probably, considering...
WWE Crown Jewel.
Well, we might have to do that because, as discussed shortly, there are some plot points coming out of this show for that show. So there you go.
This show, retrospectively, is kind of like Survivor Series 91, where it's like the WWE have like done several angles which are built up for either Super Showdown or Crown Jewel. It's like, will the WWE audience continue to pay $9.99 a month to watch shows that they were already going to watch, Michael? It's like, oh, that's genius.
Well, quite possibly. But, yeah. So, Hell in a Cell 2018. What do you think of the show?
It's probably the best WWE show for the entire year for consistency. There was a few negative points, but most of it was actually quite solid for a show that I was not looking forward to at all.
Is it the best? It's probably the best main roster show of the year, isn't it? Maybe.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, make that a clear distinction. Main roster show, yes. NXT wise, no.
Well, clearly, every NXT eclipses whatever WWE main roster is doing that weekend, but that's just standard. But yeah, I think this is probably the best main roster show of the year.
Yeah, I'd say so. The very end, was a bit of a flat thing, but we'll get to that in due course.
Well, quite possibly. But yeah, well, people know your opinion of certain people if they listen to this show, so there you go.
Brock Lesnar! Sorry.
Yeah. Right then, so actually, let's just, before we get started, have you looked at anything from All In?
No. Obviously I know the result of the main one, which is Cody winning the big one. I know about the Joey Ryan penis thing.
Yeah.
Which is, kind of makes me laugh. It's like one of those things I don't know whether or not, I don't know who raised it. It might have been Cornette, where it was like, well, if Russo booked this, people would shit all over it. But, because it's not, everyone thinks it's a big gag. And I'm kind of like in the same mindset. It's like, wrestling can be silly, and obviously Ryan's gimmick is probably one of the silliest in wrestling today. It's like, what the crowd would do a complete 180 on this and be like, "This is terrible." If it had anything to do with, whoa, what if Joey Ryan is resurrected by a bunch of cocks? They're gonna fucking love it.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say that I mean, as you said, All In had many talking points. One of which was the Joey Ryan. I mean, Joey Ryan's been doing this shtick for a couple of years now. It's just, I suppose, when it's on such a big indie platform as All In is.
Not to mention, it's a big piss take of Taker in '94. It's the whole resurrection of the fucking Undertaker. He said it's the...
Taker's done the Druids thing a good few times, hasn't he? But it's kind of like that. But I'll just say that it's not my cup of tea, the whole cock thing, right? It's not my cup of tea, but I don't... But he gets over with it. He's making money with it. He always mentions on Twitter that you can criticize him for as much as you like, but he doesn't care because he's mortgage free on a house because of this gimmick, and that's exactly the point. So fair play to him.
Fair play. Fair play.
And the thing, I follow indie wrestling as much as I suppose any normal kind of marquee fan does, but I don't watch Being the Elite. So to be honest with you, I know the backstory, but I don't actually know the backstory behind the whole, Hangman Page killed Joey Ryan, and that's what he was resurrected for, and that was all Being the Elite. So, that was just one part of it. The Omega Pentagon match was really, really good. The Jericho appearance was really good. Aldis and Aldis and Cody was pretty decent. They did the standard thing of not timing the pay-per-view properly or letting matches go too long. I mean, Okada and Skull went quite long, but it was quite good, as you'd expect. And then obviously
there's been all fallout from that as well regarding the pay-per-view timings, because the main title match was cut short apparently, but there's been all kinds of rumor and innuendo as to who was responsible.
It was the 6-man main event was supposed to be like a 20-minute match, but they put 20 minutes worth of spots into like 11 minutes, which, to be honest with you, was great. It was a great match. You couldn't breathe watching it. It was so good. But
that's how much I know. I thought Cody and Aldis were in the main event because it was the NWA title, but
no, it was like a mid-card match.
Oh fuck! I didn't know that. I thought it would have been. Oh, never. Fair play to Cody then. I thought he would, because it was his show and he's in an actual world title match. Surely he'd be dead last, but fair play.
Well, I suppose if you're self-conscious of things like that, then you wouldn't put yourself last, would you?
True. That's true. Yeah.
He's not trying to get himself over, maybe, but who knows? All I'll say is that it was a pretty decent show. Well, actually, it was a good show, and it's only good. It's only good stuff for wrestling.
Yes, I was going to say, just I haven't seen the show, but it can only be good news for wrestling because it does give guys who are not part of the WWE opportunities to be, showcased. And there were changes, and there were some apparently well-booked matches. Again, it's more for logistics' sake. I haven't watched it. It's just one of those things where there is channels to watch it, but I just didn't use them.
Yeah,
but
sure.
I imagine that this is only good news for the for the WWE. Sorry, it's good news for wrestling. And fingers crossed that there'll be some more shows like this. There's obviously an appetite for these type of events to take place.
Oh, huge appetite now. They did 10,000 in under 30 minutes. Sell out.
That's crazy. It's weird to think that wrestling is possibly getting to like a hot period, but you'd never guess it from like television ratings, the fact that advertising is still, in the toilet and other bits and pieces. But then that's WWE centered and Impact centered, and possibly Lucha Underground as well, if that's still going.
Yeah, but you have to kind of wonder if advertising will ever massively pick up again for wrestling. Who knows? But look at their TV deals. They don't even have to worry about that stuff anymore.
It's because they're consistent in their ratings. That's the thing. Because even though everyone goes like, "Oh, the Nielsen ratings are they've been like getting shitter and shitter for the last 20 years or so." It's like, but they're consistent. But and they're better than. No, but they're still better than 80% of the stuff out there at the moment.
Yeah, but
the best comparison is like, Mr. Robot on the USA Network, critically lauded, everyone loves it. Shit ratings. That's why it's finishing for next season, because it's like they can't justify its budget and its advertising things because it just doesn't draw people in.
Using Mr. Robot as an example, that is an Amazon. That's also an Amazon Prime exclusive, so people are watching it on there as well as that. But obviously, ABC or whoever do it, they don't take into account for Amazon because they're
obviously a USA Network. Same network owns Raw. Or it does own Raw.
They run Raw, yeah.
That's it, yeah. Sorry, they don't own Raw. Well, they have a contract with Raw.
They own the rights to broadcast Raw for the next 5 years or whatever it is.
That's what it is.
Anywho, let's get going. Hell in a Cell.
Was PG heck in the cage?
Well, this show wasn't very PG. And,
no, it wasn't, was it? No, it was.
Well, we'll get to the opening contest of the main card, but I think there's a little something to do with a pre-show that you do.
There is. So, let's go down this. After story of pre-shows that's bollockle happening. After 26 minutes I've got of panel small talk, promo packages, and recaps, there's an interview between Alexa and Coach regarding the former's Raw women's title match. Alexa plays a classic heel and says Ronda has a huge ego and is gunning for a 6th title, which is like 6 titles for Alexa Bliss.
They said that during the match, and I was kind of like, what the fuck?
I know. What the fuck? Same with Charlotte as well. It's like they're giving all these ladies, I mean, it's not their fault. They're not the ones fucking changing their own titles, but they keep giving them a multitude of different title reigns, and it just means, as RVD infamously put, it's like, hey, you've lost the title 6 times then. It's like, and Alexa's still young. She's probably got at least, I want to say, a decade if she looks after herself of like wrestling left. I mean, what the fuck is she going to be getting towards? Like triple digits for like title reigns? It's madness.
Yeah.
She says, despite the odds in their previous encounters, that Ronda's injury will play a key role in her victory. And before Atunga can ask a question, she fucks off. I think she's utterly, knackered in the match, but we'll get to it. Your pre-show main event, which is obviously sponsored by whoever works in the graphics department at the WWE, because that poster is a fucking joke. You know when, like, if you ever say, "Oh, wrestling's embarrassing," and it's like, no, it's it's just a guilty pleasure. And then you look at posters like the one they've done for Hell in a Cell, where you've got like Braun as the demon or something, and then you've got Roman as the dragon, or vice versa. You're like, oh man, fucking state of it. Is the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, which is between the New Day and Rusev Day. And it's really sad that it had to get to them announcing their names, where I realised both teams have Day in the name. So I was like, This is actually a very good match. It's one of those matches where it's like, shit, you do have to watch pre-show, because sometimes there is some actually really good matches on it. Really heated, really good chemistry between all four lads. There was occasions where I thought Rusev Day is definitely going to be winning this, just to push their story along. But the New Day retain. I've put here, it's a great match with some excellent sequences, and I'm actually concerned that New Day and Rusev Day have potentially stole the fucking show on pre-show, and this is a reason to watch these fucking matches. So this is definitely a match to check out. Little did I know that there would be another tag team match taking place of the same show, which would be even better than this. The final segment, or one of the final segments of this, is a backstage interview with Foley, who, for lack of better terms, seems really lost in his promo. Corbin rolls in. They're cordial, but Corbin is very short with answers. And I've just put, it does nothing but raises the question of whether Foley might add some hilarity to the match, which he possibly did, but again, we'll get to it. But that's pre-show, man. It is literally watch the Tag Team Championship match. The rest is just absolute fluff.
Okay. I'm still not going to watch the pre-shows.
It's a good match. You should watch the pre-show. Watch the match on pre-show.
Well, Rusev Day did go on to split up on SmackDown.
Fingers crossed that this is good things for everyone involved, including English, who I think's done phenomenally well, considering he's been given like an inch and he's taken like a fucking mile with it.
Yeah, well, he can sing, so they've got him singing, and it kind of works for him. Kind of worked in NXT, didn't it? When was it the Vaudevillains?
Yeah, exactly. They just need him to go off the fucking deep end. They need him to be like a full blown villain as such,
like Randy Orton.
Yeah.
Which leads us to opening contest of the main card. Randy Orton against Jeff Hardy in a Hell in a Cell match. So,
what did you think of the red Hell in a Cell?
Well, the initial, I thought, as I was watching the show, I thought that there was like some kind of weird, like, lighting on the cage to like just. But then when Jeff, or when I can't remember, Randy went up to the cage and touched it, I realised, hang on, it's bright fucking red.
So you didn't see the 3-hour stream where they actually show the cell being put up, and it's like, it's obviously red.
What? No, of course I did. But what the fuck are they thinking? This looks dreadful.
Two things. One, Vince, when apparently they were doing all these, it's 20 years since Mankind was thrown off the Hell in a Cell by The Undertaker, which is like a cheap plug for our own little review of it. He kept hearing 20 years. He was like, "Pow, we need to change the Hell in a Cell. It's old." And it's like, okay, we'll make it red. And it's like, okay. You are aware that there is like another wrestling promotion who 10 years ago did the exact same thing, and everyone took the absolute piss out of it. And it's like, what? Oh, never mind. Fuck, we'll do it red. The only other thing I can think of is that, probably Mattel or someone has said like, "Oh, let's make a Hell in a Cell play set," and it's like, we'll do it red because that will justify people having to rebuy the previous set we've got to distinguish it different from the cage. Got to think there's money involved somewhere.
I wondered if Raw, before they decided that the brand specific pay-per-views would stop, Raw was going to be Hell in a Cell, and they just had it. They had a red cell made because it would be a Raw pay-per-view.
And then they've realised it's going to be co-branded. Like, oh shit, we have to respray it. And like, nah, fuck it, just keep it red. Fuck it.
When the camera was filming from outside it, the red was actually blurring the image. It was so fucking bad.
Why the fuck did no one know? This is a common thing with modern televisions, where like if things it causes pixels
yeah.
to appear. Surely Kevin Dunn would have filmed it for 5 seconds, looked at it, and gone like, fuck.
Beaver tooth, motherfucker.
I didn't know it'd pixelate. I still got my HD fucking cameras from 1994. I bought them at a flea market.
Ugh, no, it wasn't. It was weird. This was weird. But anyway,
Not a fan of it.
No.
The only positive. Can you imagine if this pay-per-view took place in October when they do the Susan G. Komen? We're going to do the ring ropes.
It'd have been bright pink, yeah.
So no, they have the red cage and pink ring ropes.
Oh, dear God.
Oh, no.
Well, thank God. Well, anyway, okay. So the match within the really shit-looking cell. I really enjoyed this match.
Cage. I did as well. It was a bit different from what I thought it would be, and to be brutally honest, I was not looking forward to a Hell in a Cell match because I just think they're so fucking overdone. But these two worked really well together.
Well, I don't like PG era cell matches because it's just the point of the cell. Basically, Undertaker v Shawn Michaels to me, or Triple H and Cactus Jack are the two perfect examples of how a cell should be used. It should be a fucking blowing off a feud with blood and violence, and that's the point. Oh, you know, Hell in a Cell should be used as a fucking blood feud, not as just a like a kind of TNA lockdown style thing where this is a Hell in a Cell themed pay-per-view, therefore matches need to happen in a cell, and then you just have matches where the cell isn't really part of it. I always remember when Hell in a Cell, that was it Bad Blood? Yeah. In Your House? No, not Bad. What was it?
Which one?
Taker Michaels. Was it In Your House Bad Blood?
Yeah. 97. Yeah.
And I just remember it was all from 97 SummerSlam, and it was like, it was kind of, they built this up, and Taker was chasing him, and he was getting beat down by DX and all that, and he was just like, right, you know what? We're gonna get this. I'm gonna kick the shit out of you and murder you, which he does, which he did. In Hell in a Cell, and it was like built up as this fucking violent alien fucking structure, and it was so good. And obviously, I mean, he murdered Michaels in that match. It was so good, and it was just that. And then ever since then, it's just kind of diluted to the point now where before this show started, and not to spoil anything, but I just thought to myself, oh well, who's going to do let's carefully hang on to the side of the cell and do the bump onto the announce tables, which happens at every one of these events, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so with that in mind, this match, in my opinion, was actually a bit more... It actually harkened back to those old days. It's still a bit PG, but it was nice and violent. There was good use of weapons. There was a bit of blood. I'm assuming unintentional. Like when Jeff started whipping Randy with his studded belt, and he had like bleeding all over his back. I just thought, this is great. This is Hell in a Cell. Good use of weapons.
But the funniest bit is, apart from the final spot at the end, and maybe the odd, I'm going to throw him into the side of the cell. Most of the spots didn't even involve the cell itself. Most of it was ladders, tables, chairs, and a screwdriver.
Yeah, I suppose the cell, unless you're going on top of the cell is supposed to contain the violence, isn't it? So it's the whole point of it is be as violent as you want within the cell. But then obviously we're in that phase as well now where Hell in a Cell matches don't take long until they're outside the cell. That's the other part of Hell in a Cell matches. But yeah,
it's kind of lost its point. I mean, we'll get to that in the final match where there is another spot. But
again,
it's just these type of matches they kind of ruin the flow of storylines as well, going to an earlier point where it's like you because they're on the calendar, you expect
these aren't blow-offs.
Nah, they're just matches now. And this one is just they did well, Jeff and Orton. I mean, we joked ages ago where it's like this is a match you would have wanted 10 years ago, but both guys would have been quite old then anyway. But now it's like 10 years later, they're even fucking older. But this was like Orton at his absolute best. He was just a vindictive fucking arsehole, like, for the entire thing. He is literally like a predator of sort, and Jeff is like the plucky baby face.
Yeah, I mean,
absolute shit kicked out of him.
The bit with the screwdriver was both awful in terms of watching it and brilliant at the same time.
It's one of the most uncomfortable moments in wrestling because it's so simple, and you know for a fact that Jeff is obviously the one who's come up with that. And they've either rehearsed it or they've gone like, what's limits, and you've got to be ultra careful with it. But Jesus Christ, it's like, One of the most horrifying little visuals ever. It's like up there with maybe the snake bite in Savage in terms of like how visceral it is, because he is literally. There's no blood or anything, but it's just you can see the skin stretching around. You're like, oh fucking hell.
Yeah, three things made it great. One, the way Hardy sold it, I thought he was great. Two, the way Orton sold it with his like face where he's like pulling that weird grin and kind of gritting.
He just loves it. He's just an animal. He just enjoys torturing him, and that's a good little thing for his character.
And three, something rarely said about WWE these days, the commentators really sold it well as well. Like Graves was like, I'm going to be sick. I'm going to be sick.
Isn't it funny that Renee has joined that panel and suddenly they seem to have had a massive kick up the arse and they're no longer having... I mean, they have a little bit of small chatter which goes nowhere between them, but they sound so much more competent there.
All Renee says, and this is a massive compliment in case it comes across as not, all Renee does is talks normally. She doesn't talk like she's got someone in her ear, telling her what to say and make sure you use the nicknames, make sure you call him the big dog, make sure you talk about local medical centres and all that bollocks. She just talks normally, and it's kind of like when they go, Renee, what do you think of that? She just says something and you kind of be like, oh, yeah, it just sounds natural, whereas Coach doesn't, and he's rubbish. And he, and Graves is good, but Graves has started to sound a bit. He's starting on a slow journey to sound more and more like Michael Cole, if you ask me. But
it's funny because they're all fed the lines from the same person. It's basically that same person having a conversation with himself 3 times over. So everyone does sound familiar, but at least Renee currently. She does sound like a human being as such instead of like a fucking android. And it did help this match, along with the rest of the show as well, for that matter. It is refreshing to have someone as well, because I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's like sports have only just recently started to embrace like women commentators to be on it. And it has worked for things like basketball, which is hilarious because it's like a single gender sport as such at the moment, especially with the NBA. But it's actually quite refreshing to hear it on wrestling as such. And it's not like Renee doesn't know anything. She knows as much about wrestling than the other two.
Yeah, agreed.
So it was good. It did help with this match and the show in general.
Yeah. Well, let's just talk about the finish, because this finish, I didn't mind it. People seem to be moaning. So basically, Jeff gets the upper hand, hits him with a twist of fate, hits a swanton with a chair on Orton, and Orton kicks out. He sets up a big ladder with a little ladder, does another twist of fate, which then puts Randy on a table.
He does the Bubba Ray Dudley from TNA thing where he gets hit with a move and he just awkwardly like sits down on the table.
Yeah. So he's on a table. There's ladders. It's Jeff Hardy. I wonder what's going to happen. He climbs the big ladder. Well, he climbs the little ladder, climbs the big ladder. Then he sees the rafters of the cell, grabs onto that, swings himself to get momentum. Very good visual spot. Obviously, Orton moves even after 2 twist of fates and a swanton with a table, and Jeff crashes through the table, which looked impressive, but it was a very good spot, but it didn't look overly dangerous. And then for some reason, the referee decides that he can't continue. And in my opinion, Orton rightfully says that's nonsense, count the fall. And he counts the fall, and Orton wins. So that's the finish. People seem to people were a bit pissed off about it. I thought, if anything, it was the correct way to do it. But that was your finish. So Randy Orton defeats Jeff Hardy. The match went 25 minutes for an opener, which is something they seem to be doing a lot now with these pay-per-views.
I thought the match was good. I'm in this camp that the finish was a bit of a dud. Mainly because it's a combination of, that Jeff is going to do the big fucking spot. It's going to happen. Thankfully, that the crowd weren't completely, enamored that it needed to happen throughout the entire thing, and it did crescendo really well. The problem being is that the spot didn't particularly look that dangerous towards the end.
No, that's what I mean.
It doesn't help. But I'm not blaming the camera angle for it, but it was dead obvious that Orton probably rolled off the table a bit too early.
He did, yep.
So, obviously, the alternative is that Jeff kills him when he crash lands. So, fair play. But it's like, what should have really happened was it just kind of, they they delayed it too long and it became almost farcical. When really, the referee should have done the signal. Orton should have drove him to the mat and said, count the fall, and then referee counts it immediately. Not have an argument for 90 seconds and then just pin Jeff afterwards.
You know when Shane McMahon jumped off the cell and Sammy pulled Kevin Owens off the table and then he put Owens on? Did the ref then signal that he wasn't going to make the count because of he was going to call it off? Because that was a far superior, that was a far more dangerous bump.
Yeah, because he was on the top.
It's odd. Very odd, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to go back. I don't want to watch that WrestleMania again. I don't want to watch that match. I don't know. I don't think so.
Well, anyway.
Didn't make sense. If that's the case, then that's another point that goes against the match because it doesn't make sense from previously established cell matches.
Agreed. But ultimately a good match.
It was a good match. It was definitely probably the most violent cell match we've had in quite a while because, again, they showed close-ups of Orton and he was sliced to pieces and there was bits of flesh dangling from him, which he has shown on Instagram where he's had to have them surgically removed because of how fucking grim it was. But that's Orton. I mean, he's done that. Remember 2004 where he took the tack bump?
Yeah.
With no shirt. He literally took it and it was like one of the most horrible bumps ever.
True.
And he will fucking do things if he wants to. If he's got the right opponent, Orton will do whatever it takes to make the match work. And thankfully, both guys really delivered in this match. I was not expecting it to be as good as it was, so thumbs up. Apart from, the ending's a bit of a dud, but what can you do?
Agreed. Okay, moving on. WWE SmackDown Women's Championship match. Charlotte Flair defending against Becky Lynch. This was great, I thought.
Yeah, this was another one where it was like the booking has basically not fucked it, but it has fucked WWE quite badly in terms of how they're supposed to deliver it, because I think it was supposed to be a straightforward Becky is heel, Charlotte is face, everyone's behind Charlotte, and we move forward. But instead, because the fans can't stand Flair at the moment in the current incarnation, and Lynch is the sympathetic heel,
well, it's because
a massive spanner in the works.
It's because the storyline they gave Becky to turn heel is actually probably how fans feel about Becky's booking. Yeah. You know, it's like, why are you getting involved in my match? This is my match. And all the fans, when Charlotte Flair got into that title match, everyone was kind of like, oh, for fuck's sake, just let Becky have a fucking run. And then they used that thinking that it will get her. I don't know why they can't book baby faces to save their fucking lives. It's just
no, they shouldn't. No, they don't. Ironically, the way Becky has been booked is probably the best way a face should be booked, which is someone who has lost out, has actually become like an actual human being, and has lost their not lost their mind, but have gotten extremely angry with their friend and how they seem to have been been pushed up the card.
Yeah,
Charlotte should be heel at the bottom line. Is the end of this story.
Alvarez made a good point, and I know very rare that it's kind of like Stone Cold. I mean, obviously it's a bit different, but Stone Cold got over as the biggest babyface we've had in the last 20 years by being an arsehole.
Yeah.
You know, he was an arsehole who spoke his mind and beat up the people that he wanted to, and don't trust anybody and all that. And he got over as a babyface.
Austin went for everyone, and he happened to have the heels at the time were quite clear cut. Heels. There was no moral shades of grey as opposed to the Austin, who was cool and it was like a brand new type of face to the WWE.
Yeah,
and then they've slowly been unsuccessful in trying to replicate that with Cena and then Reigns. Yeah. But this storyline's okay. It's basically them thinking on their feet as to what they can do, and rather than just admit fault and just say Becky's fucking face, Charlotte's now arrogant heel, we'll fucking try and get both of them as shades of grey, as they call it. Yeah. But this match was much better. It's refreshing that the SmackDown Women's Championship is not a absolute fucking snore fest because of Carmella not defending the title.
I thought this was really. I just had the feeling that it wasn't really massively agented, and that basically they went, right, you've got 14 minutes, go out there and put on a match. And they themselves put on this great, quite technical at times, really tight wrestling match. It just, from the offset, Becky's attacking Charlotte's arm because obviously her finisher is a armbar, and Charlotte's doing all her normal shtick. Becky, I just think obviously they work well together, and they had some good interactions in NXT as well. Mm-hmm. And they are both good wrestlers, though I've started to think Charlotte is a tad overrated, but whatever, it's just opinions. I just thought this was a really good match. It wasn't there was no storyline and there was no bollocks in there. It was just right, have a straight wrestling match. Obviously, the finish was a bit. I mean, it's a clean win, but it was kind of like a roll up, wasn't it?
It is, but it's still a win. She didn't. She
I'm
didn't use a fucking weapon, or she didn't use a low blow or anything. She literally just pinned it with like a pinfall. I mean,
I just thought this was a really, really good match. The heel and face dynamic is fucked up. It just is. Also, if Becky's a heel, then they need to change her music because her theme music is the most face music in the world.
Yeah, but the flogging Molly, everyone have a big piss up and give like a big fucking like. Whoa. It's like a football chant.
Yeah, So the finish. So there was, I've got written down, nice hammerlock thingy there, setting up the arm. So Becky does get a disarmer on her. It's countered. I think Flair goes out of the ring.
She rolls under the ropes.
Then she comes back in, goes for a spear. Becky spins it round, and that's where she gets the free count. So Becky Lynch defeats Charlotte Flair and wins the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. 13 minutes 55. Very good match, as you say. For the SmackDown Women's title, this was a breath of fresh air.
It's the best SmackDown Women's match since Mania.
It might be
6 months ago.
it might be one of the best women's matches that we've seen this year from WWE.
Yeah, I'd say so. Not including NXT, but I still think Charlotte and Asuka was still a much more impressive match. But this was very good. It's hilarious because it's like these two haven't really faced each other. And it's like since they've gone up, or since Charlotte's been moved to SmackDown, it's like it sounds ridiculous, but it's like you forget that these two obviously had tons of matches in NXT and are friends in real life, and it's like they obviously can wrestle together really well and competently, and it's like this match was a nice reminder that obviously both are capable of doing so. And it was the right result. I think if Becky lost this, I think it would have made things 100 times worse for Charlotte. I mean, even at the end where they try and do the thing where Charlotte offers a hand and Becky's definitely heel and poses.
Yes, I like that.
Crad don't fucking care. Crad wants to go behind, wants to support Becky.
Yeah, so there was a really big pop for the win. When she wins, there was a massive pop. And there was a pretty big pop when she refused the handshake as well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And that's the other thing as well, the dynamic. Becky is massively over. Charlotte gets a few disparaging boos, but it's kind of like a neutral reception. Yeah. Nothing truly outstanding.
She doesn't get anything like Reigns does.
No, that's what I mean. That's why I always thought it'd be like, it's just overwhelming boos. Instead, she just gets a few disparaging boos, but most of it's just like ambient noise. Whereas Becky, it's like, no, she's definitely the one we want to win this. But no, this was thumbs up. Definitely a big thumbs up, this match.
Agreed. This was followed by an advert for the Marine 6. Are you going to be watching the Marine 6?
I haven't seen Marine 1 through 5, so...
I've seen Marine 1. I've seen the first Marine. Do you know, wasn't it Randy Orton that was supposed to be in the first Marine, but the Marines themselves kicked off because Randy actually went AWOL from the Marines?
Yeah, I think Orton was dishonorably discharged, I think.
After he went AWOL, I think.
Because it was Cena in the first one. It was Teddy DiBiase Jr. or Teddy...
It was in one of them, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's in the second one.
The Miz has been in the last 3 of them, I believe.
Yeah, it's his franchise.
Yeah, and this film also has Shawn Michaels and Becky Lynch. And it was filmed in London, I believe.
Really? Oh, shit, it's going to look miserable then.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. I won't be watching it, though. Did you see the thing with the New Day as well, celebrating with Booty 1?
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was a thing. I don't know what Kofi was supposed to dress up as, because I don't know if it was like an actual just piss take of news correspondents or if it's a local newscaster, but it's just an advert for Super Showdown.
Well then, so moving on. Raw Tag Team Championship match: Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre against the Shield partnership.
I did say it's the Shield, even though
yeah, they didn't get treated as the Shield, did they? And they also didn't come out as the Shield, but they are the Shield, aren't they?
Yeah, I thought they should have come out as the Shield, but they didn't. They came out as their own separate entrances. I don't know if that's just for consistency, because Dolph and Drew came out separate. But
4 different intros or 4 different themes. Yeah.
Yeah. 3 of these themes are actually quite good. Dolph's is just, oh god.
I'm here to share the world.
What's that record goes like, and then it's
but then it goes into it. So
that's
rubbish.
True.
Yeah, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose.
Is this the first time a commentator has talked about their spouse in WWE since it's either Trips and Steph or King and Kat?
Well, she didn't talk about him. She spoke about him, and then Corey basically mentioned it.
Because they don't acknowledge. They've only very rarely acknowledged it on TV.
Because I mean, it's not like it's an unknown, like an unknown thing. But she didn't say, "Oh, look, there's my husband." She just said something about Dean, and then Corey doing his kind of weird tweener, sort of heelish
insider comment.
He just went, "Oh well, Renee, I think you're a little bit biased with your comment about Dean there, as we all know." But I think again, I thought she was good.
No, I was trying to think of the actual stat behind it, because again, the first one that came to mind must be Triple H and Stephanie, and then I thought there's King and Kat in 2000 as well.
Yeah. This was probably match of the night. In fact, no, there's no probably about it. It was the match of the night.
It is match of the night. As I said before, I thought the tag team match on pre-show was very, very good. This, however, was excellent. There's no beating around the bush about it.
This was so good, yeah. Basically, in my notes, I've started off by saying, "Make Seth the guy." He's the guy, and then my notes finish with, "For God's sake, make Drew the guy."
What's that, pal? You want Roman as the guy and Braun as the other guy?
No, Christ, this was just even I've got in my notes here, Ziggler even looks like he's got a new lease of life in wrestling.
Everyone is good in this match. Everyone in this fucking match looks like a world beater. It's actually scary as to they're literally at the moment just. It sounds ridiculous, but all 4 are kind of like placeholders in the tag team. They're not really tag team wrestlers anymore, especially Dolph and Drew. I mean, they've kind of been just flung together for some fucking strange reason.
Well, to get Drew over, I think, which isn't taking very long. Yeah.
No, he's surely coming up the ranks to face Roman. That must be happening.
I hope not, because I think if he faces Roman soon, he'll be losing to Roman. I think he needs to be built up to be the guy. I think he's the guy.
Who, Drew?
Drew McIntyre needs to be the man, I think.
I think Drew can be a very successful heel. He's definitely not the guy. The guy is Roman and possibly Braun.
Yeah, I'm saying that, but
I agree with your sentiment about Seth. I mean, I've been saying for the last 2 years that Seth, if WWE wanted to book a workhorse champion like Okada, they just go with Seth. But they don't want to go with that. They go with Roman. And Roman has his positives as such. I mean, we've lauded him for the last 2 years. But everyone in this match looked phenomenal. There's no easy way of saying it. All 4 look like they're tag team wrestlers currently, but they look like world champions in the making. I mean, I say in the making. Everyone except Drew in this match is a fucking world champion previous
on main roster. Yeah,
yeah. There's like 5. There must be at least 5 world championships between 3 of them.
Yeah, no. Really, really good match. I thought everyone was booked to look strong. Mm-hmm. The Seth is great. Dolph was really good. Dolph and Drew work really well together in terms of just a tag team dynamic. They were building up Ambrose as a big hot tag for a while, which when it happened was a huge pop. And
they did 3 hot tags in this match. I actually counted them down. It's crazy that they did the exact same sequence of build up the guy to take the tag 3 times, and the crowd was happy for it 3 times over.
Yeah, it was great. There were some really good spots. I really liked the bit with the suicide dive when they catch Seth suicide diving on them, and then 2 seconds later, Dean follows him up and takes them all out. I thought that was really good.
I still think that
it was just really good. The last 2 minutes of this match was just a fucking sprint, and it was fantastic.
It's just there's no easy way of saying it. It's just again similar to the other tag team match. Some of the sequences are just very well paced and very well set up. There's what's it, the bit with the referee where they start where Dean makes a tag but the ref doesn't see it.
Yeah.
And
that's great.
Like, the crowd starts whinging or something, and they're like, it's like if this was in the UK, that fucking referees are wankers would have just broke out, which is a bit of a shame that they've never attempted to do that there. But there's the I still love that superplex Falcon Arrow combo. It's so good. Even at the final sequence where he does it, and Drew with like the fucking inch perfect timing claymores him right in the fucking face, and the Dolph gets the win.
Yeah, well, Ziggler then falls on Seth for the free.
That's what I mean. He just flops. Yeah. He just flops because he's Dan. He's like, okay.
Yeah, makes, yeah, that was a great finish.
No, it was,
that was a really good finish. Ziggler and McIntyre do get the win, retain their titles. Match went 22-50. Really enjoyed the fact that I don't know if it's just if it was on the fly or actually planned, but then McIntyre literally carrying Ziggler off, which was a good visual, I thought, and maybe a sign that they do see him as a big deal.
Boss, I got the picture of Drew carrying Dolph. We can use it for the WrestleMania promo. Pat me on the head. I did good, sir. Give me my biscuits.
Yes. This was fantastic. Every bit the best match on the card.
Yeah. Well, did you think this was better than the tag team match where
Seth
where
Dean
Cesaro
against
loses his teeth? Where Cesaro
the bar?
Yeah, that might have been the Hardys though, is it? Or
no, that wasn't it Seth and Dean then before Dean's injury last year?
I think I was literally trying to remember because I know the Bar and the Hardy Boys had matches. It must have been that one. It is Shield and the Bar.
It was it was good.
Which do you think was a better match? Because they're both.
I think those matches were the best last year. I think this was probably the best tag match on the main roster I've seen this year. Maybe that's a tough one to. That's a tough one.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking of trying to remember which one was better of the two. But this is a very good match. Again, it looks dead obvious that they're building Drew up. It's surely the case. Someone fucking, as you say, the final segment where he's holding him and carrying him back is like it's someone that fucking knows. It's dead obvious.
Yeah, well there you go. Good match. When his stablemates won, we then saw Braun watching this from a sideways position on television.
Oh god, the fucking TV angle.
And he was interrupted.
You get it, folks? He's watching the match. He's watching the match.
And you can too, because he's got it on a side view. So odd.
To establish that Braun is watching television.
Well, what else is he going to be watching? Fucking Neighbours or something?
Porn!
Right, yeah, then Foley interrupts him and he basically just says, I don't care about you. Blah, blah, blah. You count the free because I'm gonna win. Blah, blah. Basically,
the cell will change you. Blah blah blah. Yeah,
it won't change nothing. You'll just be there to count the free. You know, that kind of shtick.
Yeah.
Was there anything else apart from this?
Nope. I was going to ask you about the next match's promo package. What did you think of it?
What, with Joe reading the book?
Yeah.
I thought it was all right. I don't think it was great. I thought the idea was good. I'm not sure about the execution, but it was
no,
interesting.
I think the idea is poor. I think the execution is stellar.
Well,
I think
there you go. Yeah.
Similar to last month, I think he's been given absolute chicken shit, and he's making like fucking southern fried chicken out of it.
Has Joe always been a great promo, or is this something he's been good at in the last couple of years? Because I don't.
He's always been.
Yeah,
he's always been good.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not. I think this match I just want to talk about how AJ is booked as champion. Because he's now been champion for nearly 315 days. Actually, he has been champion for 315 days. And he, again, Alvarez, I believe, highlighted this. He's into double figures this year on matches that have ended with screwy finishes. And I just find it a bit strange how they keep booking him. And how they keep booking his feuds just have constant bollocks finishes. It can't be a coincidence. Like him and Nakamura had those weird no contests, or they had the ball kicking spot where they both were down for 10. Then they had the last man standing match, which kind of was a bit of a turd sandwich. They had the count out in Saudi Arabia, I believe. And now you've got the first match with Joe. It's a DQ, right? He got DQ'd, didn't he? Because he lost it and he battered him. Yeah, and now this. So it's just I don't know if it's a kind of, well, we don't want you to beat these guys because these are high profile guys that we don't want to beat, or I just don't get it. So he, just to go to the finish, so he gets put in the coquina clutch. He rolls it over, like, you know, the old Brett Piper kind of styly thing. He has Joe's shoulders down. At between 2 and 3 of the pinfall, he taps. Right, and then so Joe thinks he's won. He's obviously lost because he got pinned for a 3. And your babyface champion, and this is a babyface that gets decent pops, by the way. That's one, we talk about shit babyfaces in WWE. AJ does quite well as a babyface, and he's just I just don't get it. In my opinion, on SmackDown, they should have had a thing where Joe and AJ and Paige are in the ring. They show the footage, and AJ, as a face, disgusted with how this has transpired, basically says, "Right, let's have a rematch right now, and I'll defend my honor, and I am a fighting champion, and the referee messed it, you know, whatever, or I relinquish my belt because I'm not the deserved champion." But no, it got completely ignored, and it's just because they're just extending the feud. I just find it really odd and a bit shit, to be honest.
You've hit the nail on the head, where the whole point of AJ's booking is literally to artificially extend these feuds without him beating his opponents, because in their mind, it's like as soon as he beats them clean, it's like, so then what? Not realising that you can have wrestlers win cleanly, but it can be close, as proven with the Becky Lynch and Charlotte match, where it's like Becky wins with a fucking roll-up. Do you think that feud's actually finished? Do you think that in another circumstance, Charlotte would actually beat her? I mean, if she hit the spear, technically she would have cut her in fucking half and retained the title. I think they're terrified of having Styles win cleanly, and it's like then we have to fucking justify why Joe would continue to have another rematch, when really they should have just had him win fucking with like a quick roll-up, but then maybe they were terrified that there's been 2 of them, so we can't really have it.
There were a few on this card, so that would have been even more bullshit. I just don't get it, really.
They've done the exact same thing with Taker and Lesnar at SummerSlam from a few years ago, where, you know, Taker taps during the Kimura.
Yeah, you're right.
But what do you call it? No one sees it, and then Taker dick kicks him, and then just fucking kills him afterwards.
Yeah, he TKO. No, he got him in the Hell's Gate, and he.
Oh, that's it. He does He does the finger, which has been censored. I thought this was a very good match, even though the crowd was fucking dead quiet in this. I was waiting for them to get burnt out, and they obviously the tag team match was final straw. They were a very good crowd, though. This was like fucking default proxy. We need to have a break.
This is the 4th match on the main card, and it's the 4th pretty good, intense match, and
it's a full title match on the trot as well, so it is a match with significant consequences. Such,
I think both of their matches have been really good so far. It's just I think the finishes have just is there no one with a bit more creativity for a finish. These people have been doing this for years, and they don't know how to extend feuds without making baby faces look stupid, and you know, it just seems so artificial in the way that they extend. Obviously, wrestling is incredibly artificial, not wanting to sound silly, but no, it's just the same thing with him. And I just think
they should have just had AJ win with the fucking roll up. Joe is the first one to his feet and realizes what's happened, and then just have Joe beat the shit out of AJ at the end, and then say, like, you know, I was the man who walked out of fucking Hell in a Cell. You were left beaten, and then AJ's like, no, I'm not having that. I'll take you down at next pay-per-view, which is Super Showdown, and I'll put an end to this. Simple.
Yeah, also, what's wrong with... unless they're doing something with AJ and the length of his run, what's wrong with giving Joe the belt for a little run?
I don't know.
If that's not the easiest way for this feud to extend a couple more pay-per-views, if that's what they want, is that you give Joe a run with the WWE title for maybe a month or so, and then AJ wins it. Or in the next match, Joe defends it, but he defends it via shenanigans, and then they have a really big blow off. But TLC's in December, right? I know that's ages away.
Oh look, you've already pre-planned it. You have to book your show around fucking TLC.
Well,
maybe they'll do that. Maybe they'll have Joe win at Super Showdown. Oh, but then they've got Crown Jewel in between, or whatever the fuck it's called.
Well, that'll probably happen there. But no, other than that, this match was pretty good. They hit the shit out of each other. They waffle each other. It's really good.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with this match. This match was fucking great. But it's like, I fully agree with the idea that if you actually do want to extend this feud, there's nothing wrong with giving Joe the title. They did this exact same they didn't do the exact same thing. They did the good thing, which was when Rock and Triple H in 2000, they switched the belt around. You can say, oh, that's hot potatoing it, and it's like, it's makes the title less meaningful. On the other hand, AJ's had the title for 300 days.
I've got a fantasy booking idea for you.
Go on then.
Right.
Give me your armchair quarterbacking, sir. Go on.
So this will never happen because I think because of the way they're extending these feuds, I don't feel they have depth on SmackDown for this to happen. But roster change, drafts and whatnot. But hear me out. What if AJ miraculously holds on to this belt until this time next year? He's set shitloads of records.
Beats Punk's record.
Well, yeah.
He's beat Brock Lesnar's record.
He's cemented himself as probably one of the greatest wrestlers of all time in the modern era, obviously. And SmackDown goes to Fox, which is a huge platform for WWE and could be a killer for ratings and could be really good for them. And what if in the background they build up someone like, for example, Daniel Bryan, and they kind of keep these two separated until then, and Daniel Bryan gets a number one contendership, and it just so happens that his title match for the title to beat the dominant champion AJ is on the first SmackDown on Fox. And for the first SmackDown on Fox, they have it. Daniel Bryan, after retirement, wins the WWE Championship again, beating one of the most dominant champions in recent history. And it pops a 1.9.
Oh, Reece, that was actually quite realistic, even the fucking rating.
Well, I think that's not.
There's nothing wrong with that, because that would be something that WWE would do. Like, oh, our first ever show on Fox, we're gonna have like the big money feud, which is AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan, the two indie darlings. The fucking wrestling internet's two favourites. Yeah, that makes sense. Pop a rating. Well, should pop a rating, but the casuals don't give a fuck about him. Yeah, no, I get that. It ticks the boxes for me because it's like it beats Punk's record and it beats Lesnar's record. You could also arguably say that AJ this time next year we don't know where he'll be because he's going to be 40 surely then.
He's already 40. He's 41.
He'll be 41. Well, surely he's not looking. I mean, he said in the Austin interview he wasn't going to be wrestling forever. He was hoping to transition to a backstage role.
Money talks,
so
baby.
Sooner rather than later. I know it'd be sooner rather than later, but that'd be good. I think. I don't know where they're going to go with the SmackDown title. AJ holding it is a good thing because he's still delivering pretty decent matches and his programs are good. The Nakamura one crescendoed into something very good. This Joe one has been consistently very good. But going all the way back to this match, I thought it was good. The ending was
good. You're right.
The ending was just a bit meh. The crowd were burnt out, but I can't blame him. It was a fucking long old show, and this was the fourth one on the trot that they needed to have some sort of break. Interesting to see where they go. I think the fair fucks to their booking. Joe does seem credible, whereas like if you said this back in May, where he's just had the really terrible match with terrible match with Reigns, you're like, well, that's Joe fucked forever because he's never going to move up ever again.
Little factoid for you. It's either 14th or 16th. I can't remember, but this is the 14th or 16th pay-per-view in a row where the WWE title hasn't headlined.
That's absolutely pathetic. Because considering that AJ has been there the entire time, it's not like Lesnar where it's like Lesnar turns up once every fucking season, so he's got to go.
And by that I mean that when the title is on the card, so you have to. That doesn't include all of the brand specific ones.
It's like WWE Championship is still their most established title. It's the most prestigious. Unless it's some very, very unusual circumstance, like maybe the first time Miz and Daniel Bryan had a match, that could take preference. But ideally, your actual most prestigious world championship should take preference.
Yeah, but it's on the B show, and they want the A show matches to have the main event. So there you go.
That might change though next year with Fox. I don't think Fox would be quite happy to say, "Why the fuck is our?" Oh, sorry, we'll do Rupert Murdoch.
Why the fuck is my world championship fourth on the card? It doesn't make any fucking sense. It's the most humble experience of my life.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there we go. We'll see.
Speaking of Miz and Daniel Bryan,
this was rubbish.
You really don't like this?
I don't like.
Different opinion.
I'm not. I just don't like the. I'm not a big fan of the Bellas. I'm not a big. I think they've managed to take all of the heat out of the Miz and Daniel Bryan's feud.
Oh, really? You think so?
I do think that mixed tag match, Miz and Maurice, Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella. Yeah, I do. I think that they've managed to take the heat out. I think on SmackDown. Well, just quickly, the Miz and Maurice win. 30 minutes this match got. I think Maurice did a roll up on Bella, didn't she?
Yeah, she held the tights.
Held the tights. There you go. Another roll up win. Yeah, it wasn't terrible. It was mostly just Miz and Maurice shenanigans and plucky baby faces. Well, looking stupid, I guess. Both Bryan and Miz avoided taking a pinfall loss, which is obviously the point of doing a mixed tag, really. Also, it does extend the feud. But I do think that this is running out of steam very quickly. This is Hell in a Cell. I mean, not being funny, but Hell in a Cell is where you have big feuds and you get a bit violent.
It should
well,
be.
Technically, same as AJ and Joe technically should have been in a cell, if you ask me, because that's turning into a really aggressive feud. Again, I digress. But yeah, this match did nothing for me. I get that things like Brie and Maurice are getting some time, probably because Evolution is on the horizon, and they'll probably both be on Evolution. Well, maybe Maurice is a mum now. Maybe she doesn't want to. I don't know.
I was going to say fair fucks to both. This is not to undersell these two ladies' credentials, but it's like they're both relatively new mums, and as my wife is a midwife, and obviously the biology of giving fucking birth is like it's such a taxing thing on like a woman's body, and in the case of Maurice, who's been like that's what it fucking is, man. It's not beat around the fucking bush about it.
Dr. Harry.
Doctor, I don't know. Well,
beat around the bush. Is that a pun?
Euphemism. You're disgusting, you are, you cunt. But I was going to say, fair fucks to both of them, especially Maurice, because she's literally just given birth 5 months ago. If you were to tell someone you're going to have like major changes to your abdominal system, where you're giving birth to a human being, and then 5 months later you're going to be jumping around a fucking like stiff as fuck trampoline and fucking hurting yourself, I wouldn't fucking do it. I wouldn't do it healthy. So no, fair play. I thought this was a very simple but very effective tag team match. Not the best mixed tag team match of this year. I mean, that's always going to go back to WrestleMania. But I thought this was actually good. As you say, it's literally a case of artificially extending this feud beneath what should be its natural conclusion, which is at the ultra-violent pay-per-view with a fucking match stipulation.
Maybe they'll do something at Extreme
You don't know what they're doing. You don't know what they're doing at Super Showdown.
Oh, is it a number one contender match?
Yes, it is.
I wonder if the Miz will win that.
Yeah, that's what I think. If me doing my armchair booking, Miz wins. Miz wins the WWE Championship. Miz Bryan final match WrestleMania, and Bryan gets the big one. Bryan gets the WWE Championship 4 years after he retired at the event, and actually manages to beat his fucking nemesis, who's beaten him technically 3 times.
And then he could really heel out and refuse to be even near him.
Exactly. We have put down a contract. Say, I've signed a new contract with WWE because of the Marine 6. I don't have to face Daniel Bryan. the only way Daniel Bryan would be able to win is if he wins like a cross-promotional match of some sort, which turns out to be, lo and behold, the fucking Royal Rumble.
Or an Elimination Chamber match.
Or an Elimination Chamber match. Or a random tag team championship match on SmackDown, pal.
You notice that both of our armchair booking of the WWE title involves Bryan as the champion.
I think they'd be daft to keep him out of it. He's proven, touch the biggest plank of wood imaginable, but he's not got injured thus far since he's returned, and they are watching him like a fucking hawk.
Yeah.
But, I thought this was a good match. I thought it was simple and effective. Miz and Maurice are absolutely despicable. Not in real life. I think in real life they're actually quite funny. I imagine that this has got one more match left. Obviously, that's going to be Super Showdown, and I would put money that either they're going to have Daniel win it and kill off the feud, or possibly have Miz win it, and that brings us up to him winning the WWE Championship, which is long over fucking due.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah. Keep an eye on it.
Right, well, we move on. Raw Women's Championship match. Ronda Rousey defending against Alexa Bliss. As mentioned earlier, Alexa Bliss going for her 6th world title, which, as mentioned earlier again, hit me like a sack of bricks. That's a lot of titles she's managed to win.
I can't recall how many times she's lost that title to justify that many. Obviously, there's Nia, and then there's Ronda. That's 2. There's 3 more.
Charlotte must have done her. Must have.
Take a safe bet with the other woman who's won the most. I don't know.
Yeah, strange. What did you think of this match?
I thought it was decent. Fair play to Ronda. This was basically a showcase to her to sell. Like, can Ronda Rousey sell the entire match, which she can?
Yes, she can. I mean, let's be honest. This match shouldn't be a surprise to anyone, considering that Raw has been booked for ages. Of Ronda's hurt. Ronda's got a rib injury, so it was very obvious that, in my opinion, that was a device to give her a longer match so that she could be a bit more of a babyface in peril. And yeah, it went 12:55. I'm surprised that she's gone that long so soon, but I think it's a good thing. I think she's only going to get better. She's already pretty good. She obviously takes it very seriously. And yeah, I didn't think it was terrible. I didn't think it was brilliant, but I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was a decent enough match.
There was things they would change it better. Yeah. I wouldn't have had Fox and James outside. I think that kind of takes a little bit away from Alexa. Like, it does. And a fucking 4-week program where she's injured Ronda the entire time to actually stand remotely a chance. I think if she just went on her own, it would have given her a bit more of a rub.
Yeah, I think if you look at the grand scheme of things in WWE, or and their whole roster, including NXT, I think in the future Ronda's got some good matchups to come. And I just think get Alexa. They're obviously using Alexa to just put her over a bit more and to give her a bit of a rub, because she's just beaten a 5-time women's champion again quite easily once when you take out the injury. So yeah, I've got a feeling that this feud's done, and that think about if you think about the next year or 2 years, Ronda's probably got feuds with there's the whole thing about Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania that might be the main event, the planned current main event of WrestleMania. That's obviously a high-profile women's match. You'd think that her and Sasha could have a pretty good match if Sasha doesn't break her neck during the match at some point.
Not because of Ronda, just because of Sasha doing something from the top rope or something.
Yeah. Her and Becky, there's a big armbar element there. That could be a pretty good match. Then obviously, her and Asuka is the fucking match, in my opinion, that should be that's the one that should have been protected, not her and Charlotte. It should have been her and Asuka. That still annoys me.
I still think that Natalia is one in the back, like the back pocket that they've got. I think it's been delayed because of what's happened with Jim Neidhart passing.
I completely agree with you, because Natalia is quite. Apart from getting pops on house shows because of her...
She's got cats! She's got cats!
Yeah, I think that's a good feud, actually. I think that's one that could be the whole, she's a babyface who's betrayed, so therefore
You took the limelight from me. What have you done to justify this? Classic. Hill can't see the fucking wood for the trees and realise that having a major UFC star come in.
I'm a Hart. I come from the Hart family. I'm a legend and dynasty of wrestling. You're just a failed MMA fighter. Blah blah blah. We're
wrestling should grovel at my feet for my legacy. You are nobody. Simple. They won't do that though. They'll do some bollocks where it's like Natalia farted or something. Natalia farted backstage, and Ronda said, "That's disgusting." You said, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Natalia will start calling her fat or something and start bullying her, all whilst doing an anti-bullying campaign.
High hopes for the WWE Women's Division.
Yeah, so Ronda gets the win, gets her armbar. 12 minutes, 2 seconds, I believe this went, not 12:55, like I said earlier.
What was your favourite part of this match? Was it when Alexa's taunting her about the ribs and Ronda fucking just glares at her? And the only way I can put it is she literally goes fucking Super Saiyan and hits the world's most terrifying fall away power bomb. Where she literally yanks her up and drops down with her. It was like, Jesus Christ, they punish this woman as over. It's scary.
They really play on the whole Ronda Rousey facial. Oh, don't Google that. The whole the faces she pulls. So her kind of you darn fucked up face. That's a big thing. It all comes from her when she used to walk out during UFC fights. She used
you've said I've seen it. Face like a smacked ass.
Yeah, so that's her thing now. If you see that face, you're in trouble, and that's they built to that, and I thought that was a good spot. That was probably the best spot. That, and I was quite impressed with her selling. I thought it was quite good.
Yeah, I thought she was very good. Every match, it seems there's a little facet of that's revealed behind Ronda's training. This one was to do with selling.
She's not
fucking sell.
She's not Sting level selling yet, though.
No, but
Nature Boy,
stand tall,
Nature Boy,
or Luger style selling. My groin!
And your t-shirts are too tight, Billy.
I'm the total package. I'm gonna rip him apart.
Super Brawl Saturday? Is that what it's called?
Super Brawl Saturday.
I don't know. Right, just quickly, what's next for Ronda? So I'm assuming Nikki's going to turn on her eventually, and that will lead to the Evolution match with Nikki Bella. Mm-hmm. And Bliss has got a thing to start with Stratus, hasn't she? So that'll probably start soon as well.
She was supposed to be a mixed match challenge, but she has an injury, which is why her and
Ember Moon. I
don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that's real.
They might just be selling that she's her arm from the match. So who knows?
Yeah, got the shit kicked out of her. Braun looked devastated.
Yeah. They got something going on there.
No, they haven't.
No, I mean as a dynamic. They were quite good in the last mixed match.
Storyline there. Don't fucking ship them, you sad bastard.
They story. I mean story.
Oh, the little girl go with the big man.
Anyway,
where the fuck they caught? I don't know. The only point of between this match and our main event is Joe goes backstage and whinges at the ref and Paige for the tap out, which that you get a proper view of as opposed to the one-off chance you got on the replay. Joe says that the match should be a no DQ, false count anywhere match, and Paige agrees, which I should have mentioned during the match. I thought the match that we watched should have had a stipulation, and lo and behold, here's a match with a stipulation. So there could be shenanigans involved. Joe wins the WWE title via shenanigans. AJ looks strong because, he lost because the no DQ match he got no DQ. Smoke Joe.
Well, there we go. Smoke Joe. He's fat.
Fat asses.
Right then. Main event of the evening. The WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns defending against Braun Strowman. This is the Money in the Bank cash-in.
Mm-hmm.
It's in a Hell in a Cell. So the big fucking ugly cell is back down. The big red
bastard.
Cell.
The big red bastard.
Awful. So right, yeah, let's get into this.
Oh, Mick Foley's special guest referee as well.
Of course, good old Mick. During the intros, Braun jacks the belt off of Reigns, which I thought was quite fun, and that gets the match going.
I was going to say as well, you forgot. I was going to say that you forgot to mention that they actually do say that Braun is only the third person to announce his cash-in before his
RVD,
match.
Braun, and Cena.
And Cena was unsuccessful. So at the moment, well, up until this match, it was 50-50.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty solid match, I thought. Well, until the last couple of minutes. Well, sorry, the last 8 minutes for different reasons.
Okay. Is it when? Do you think the match was actually very, very good and actually didn't need the final 8 minutes taking place?
Technically, yes. I would say the match was very solid bout until the thing. What was right? So let's just get towards the end, right? What was it that put Braun and Reigns both on their backs for 7 minutes? What was the spot?
Spear through a table.
Yeah. So Reigns spears Braun. Yes. Yeah. So Reigns spears Braun through a table, right? And Braun kicks out, which is obviously that's fucking to kick out of that. It's pretty babyface. Anyway, doesn't matter. So by doing that, they are then on the deck for 7 minutes. It was 6 to 7 minutes of them just laying there whilst chaos ensued around them. Right. So let's talk about no contests in matches. If they haven't got up in 7 minutes, right, and the ref just comes into the ring at the end of the match after Lesnar lays them out, and after 10 seconds of seeing them laying on the floor not moving, calls for a no contest. What the fuck is going on?
I don't know, man.
Obviously,
obviously,
the idea is that you're not supposed to be paying attention to Reigns and Strowman. You're supposed to be paying attention to Ziggler, Seth, Dean, and Drew as they have quite a good brawl around the
7 minute match taking place round the match.
It's just so peculiar, and I think you're right. I think it ruined what was a very good Hell in a Cell match up until a good main event up until then for a big title.
It's because when people now think Hell in a Cell, they think, right, there has to be a big spot where someone falls off something. And they kind of did it with the first match, where it's like, Jeff's definitely going to fall off something, and lo and behold, he falls off something. This match, you've got two big men who, no way in your right mind would say, right, one of you's got to jump off the fucking cell. I say Roman should do it. And it's like, no, I'm not doing that. It's like, okay, Braun, you got to do it. It's like, no, I'm not doing it. So it's like, okay. Fuck, we'll have to get someone to come out and do a big spot because the crowd obviously expect this to happen. And lo and behold, we have to have a 7 minute mini match take place between four guys who have had a 25-minute match take place probably about 2 hours ago, who are now back out to do shenanigans. I don't get it. They could have just cut straight to the final minute of this thing and it would have made the same thing. I don't think the crowd really needed like a fucking, people jumping off fucking random shit. They could have just had like an extra 8 minutes where the two just clatter shit out of each other in the cage. But I don't know, man. It's just I think it does a discredit to both Roman and Braun, who had a very good no disqualification match and did use the cell as well as they could do. And I think it's come leaps and bounds as well because the crowd is now kind of behind Roman. Not as at least he's now at Cena level where there's let's go Roman. Roman sucks as opposed to just being boo and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just think the WWE, the agents and backstage, they must think that their audience are complete fucking morons and that they must have people jumping off shit. And the spot itself, with Zigglypuff and Seth, it's the exact same fucking thing as Dean and Seth from 3-4 years ago. Climb up, go down, get to the halfway point, 3, 2, 1, jump on the commentators' boxes from 8 feet up. It's impressive, but it's been done before, and it just means
original. Who originated that though?
Sean.
Who was Sean? So it's the Sean spot. But the problem is, and I'm not going to rag on them for this because I think in any kind of bump like this is as long as they're safe and stuff, they should be applauded for taking such risks and whatnot. But it does get to a point where if it looks really fake and if it looks really obvious that they're basically looking at each other, like giving each other the nod as to when to jump, that really is it necessary? It kind of.
But the other thing as well is, you think back to this match and it's like, so what do you remember about it? I remember Brock coming out, and then it's like, and then maybe this spot will come up next. But it's not the most important thing of the match. No. And even if it was, it takes away from the two people involved in the match, which is Roman and Brock.
Mm.
No, Roman and Braun. Fuck. Oh, fuck. This is why you're
You're part of the problem. You're part of the problem.
Oh, pal, you can't have them both with fucking B at the start.
So let's just run down the finish, or run down what happened. Right. So
final sequence.
So Strowman hits a running power slam, and Reigns kicks out, as you'd expect. Mm-hmm. So this then led to Reigns spearing Strowman through a table, where Strowman kicked out.
Mm-hmm.
This was Ziggler and Drew McIntyre's cue to come down. They look at getting in. The ref says no, which was a prelude to what would come.
Mm-hmm.
So as they're Seth and Ambrose run in to make the save, even though technically they didn't need to make a save because they couldn't get in the cell. Ziggler, Drew, Rollins and Ambrose brawl outside and on top of the cell. I thought there were some really good spots here. Like Ziggler and Seth on top of the cell was really good. That cell's a lot taller than the old cell, isn't it? It definitely looks taller.
To be honest, I don't know.
Definitely looks taller. Yeah,
maybe it is. I don't know.
Drew gets up on top of the cell, 2-on-1. They're beating up Seth. This leads to Ambrose scaling the cell with a kendo stick, which I thought was quite a good spot. All the while, Reigns and Braun are both dead inside the ring, and Foley's basically just standing around, waving his hands, looking up, looking down. Anyway, they go. Seth and Ziggler fall off the side of the cell through the announce tables. And then, as they're down and dead, Brock Lesnar's music hits, which, had I not read spoilers of the show before watching it, I'd have been very surprised.
I was very surprised.
Referee says you can't go in the cell, and Brock Lesnar kicks the door down. This brings out Mick Foley, who gets pepper sprayed by Heyman, which I thought was fantastic.
That was quite funny.
Yes, Lesnar proceeds to beat. He fucking waffled them good. That half a table which had the part of the leg still on it, smashing it over Braun's back and over.
Yeah, that looks very sore.
He F5 Strowman. He F5s Reigns. He walks out. Another ref walks in, sees that they're both down, even though as I'd mentioned, they'd both been down on the floor for 7 minutes prior to this. And he calls for the bell, and it's a no contest at 24 minutes. The pay-per-view very quickly ended. I'm going to guess about 30 seconds after the call was made. There was a good shot of as Lesnar and Heyman walk past Foley on the floor, rubbing his eyes. Heyman kind of lifts his hands up and kind of goes, "Oh, I don't know why he's doing that," which I thought was very funny. And yeah, this was a really quite a bad ending. It appears that they've used this as a way to build for the main event of the next Saudi Arabia show, which is called Crown Jewel. I think that's in November. Is that right?
Yes, it is November.
That's been announced as a freeway for the title, which apparently will be Brock's new last match because he apparently gets paid an awful lot of money.
I've heard it's 7 digits, which sounds ridiculous.
Yeah, well, they love him. And yeah, so that was the match. I think 3/4 of this match were really good. I think up until Brock came out, even though I liked the whole Brock thing, I just think the finish was terrible. And there you go.
I was going to say, I thought the match between Roman and Braun was actually very, very good, as to be expected. These two have some fucking good chemistry. I thought the moment that the spear takes place and then they take their extended nap and then the 4 guys come out for their to set up for the high spot for the crowd, I thought was completely worthless. And it doesn't do anyone any favours. And it doesn't do, I was going to point out as well, Seth and Dolph were back on Raw, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Didn't they have a match?
Yeah, so
it was. They had a nicey title match. Yeah,
Which kind of undersells the whole point of taking a fucking 8-foot bump through 2 commentators' tables.
Seth beat Dolph and Drew beat
Dean. By shenanigans, but he still beats him.
Yeah,
very big deal, considering I think that's Dean's first loss since he's come back. You'd think they might have saved that for
singles loss.
Oh, well, it's singles, yeah, sorry, excuse me. Lesnar coming out was a surprise, not a good one. Sort of like finding out a loved one's past. But
I don't think it was that bad.
Extenuate the negative. It's wrestling fans, what do you expect? I thought his actual beatdown was very good, but as you point out, the ending makes no fucking sense. It's like you pointing out saying they've had a 7-minute nap, and now the referee's like, "All right, now I'm calling for the fucking bell." Makes no sense. I've just literally put match gets thrown out. Fuck you, Texas, and it's like
there will be no encore.
There will be no encore. No. Well, see you in November, fuckers.
Apparently, after 30 seconds after all of that, and it went off the air, the crowd let them know that this is bullshit very loudly and very vocally.
Can you imagine if you sat through, including pre-show, 4 hours and 40 minutes only to get told your main fucking event, which was pre-booked for the Money in the Bank winner to announce in advance. Oh, by the way, that match is a fucking draw. I'd fucking get all the beach balls out.
Yeah. So what does that mean for the Money in the Bank cash-in, do you reckon?
Means it ends as a no contest, which means the match is thrown out. He doesn't get it back, does he?
No.
He just lost it. That means, in my opinion, it would mean Braun is now where the winner of the Money in the Bank has done the, letting you know in advance. It's now 1/3 of them has been successful.
Yeah, he's not successful, is he? So there you go.
Unsuccessful cash-in. That's the second time in 2 years, isn't it? Second time on the trot. After we all said last year that Corbin's definitely winning.
This was the first time it's been a no contest though, so
that's just ridiculous. This doesn't make a lick of fucking sense whatsoever.
Maybe
Hell in a Cell match is in a fucking Again, I just think it's a discredit to Strowman and Reigns. I think they both deserved something out of this.
Agreed. It was decent.
They should have just had fucking Brock announce he was coming back on the Raw, pop a rating and say he's going to fucking Saudi Arabia. Because he's got 7 figures and, they've signed off for him. Just be fucking realistic about it.
Yeah. Stupid finish to what was a very good overall show. Well, very, very good overall show, I think.
Yeah.
And that's the end of that chapter.
All right, fucking Max Power. SpaghettiOs.
Right, Hell in a Cell in the books. Nice. Next episode will be Super Showdown, which is on the 6th of October. Then Evolution is on 28th of October. And Crown Jewel is on the 2nd of November.
Which is definitely on the network, they've let us know.
Yes.
Even though it's going to cause a fucking shitstorm. It's going to be glorious.
Yeah, okay, so that's interesting. That's an odd run. So we'll see how that goes, and we will get that Goldberg thing, the next part of that going.
Yes,
well.
Reese, I've already fucking seen it. You need to catch up, sir. You need to watch that dreadful Nitro that you've had to watch.
Yeah, we'll do, sir. Don't worry. Cool. Right. Well, thank you for listening. You can catch us on Twitter at SWA_podcast. We're on SoundCloud.com/SmartsForAttitude. All of our episodes, minus episode 22, which you keep reminding me I need to upload, they're all on YouTube, so check that out. I've even done some weird little video thing with a little soundbar. Looks quite nifty, if I don't say so myself.
It does look very professional.
They're all on there. And you can email us smartsforattitude@gmail.com. Thank you again for listening. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you, Reese. It's been fun again.
Yeah, as always.
Yeah, it's very therapeutic.
Yeah, we'll be back soon, so see you later.
Toodles.